Live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. Thank you all for joining today. My name is Olena Gryniuk, and I'm Regional Director for the Central Eastern Europe at the SME Banking Club, and I will be your host today. And today we will talk about payment data and how it can be used by SMEs for the effective management, and also by the banks to know their customers better. And I'm glad to be joined today by Ivan Dovica, co-founder and COO at Dateo, and Petr Herzmann, co-owner and COO at Fidu. These both companies are from Czech Republic, and both companies are providing customers and banks with enriched payment data that can be used both by SMEs to analyze the expenses and by the banks to analyze customer behavior and possibly to build segmentation and customized offer based on this data. And I'm sure we will have a very insightful conversation today. Hello and welcome.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hello. So before we start and go to the topic, let me mention very shortly organizational moments. So our webinar is scheduled for 45 minutes. We are recording this webinar, so right after we finish, you will receive a link to the video and presentation as well. And in the end of the webinar, we will have time for your questions. So please type your questions into the chat. So let's go to the topic. Last autumn, so we do it actually every year on an annual basis. We at SME Banking Club analyzed functionality of online and mobile banking for SME customers in the CE region. And what actually we saw that expectations of business customers are changing significantly from year to year, and they're increasing. And actually they want to have at least the same user experience that they have as individual customers. And also they started to expect from the banks to help them with their business routine, meaning so they are starting to expect that banks will provide to them such services, beyond banking services as e-invoicing, online accounting, and business financial modem, BFM module. And so things that will, simplify and automate their business life, everyday business actions. And this is different actually from the corporate customers compared to corporate customers, which do not expect this from the banks, mainly because they have their internal resources for that and they don't need it from the bank. So what we see, I wanted to show one slide on this. So here, if you see, so this is actually now we can see that less than 30% of the banks implemented, in particular, BFM module for the SME customers as for now. I hope this will be changing this year and nearest years, I hope. And if we talk about payment data usage by the banks to cross-sell or use the data in credit decisions or credit scoring for SMEs, it seems that at the moment, fintechs taking more advantage on that than the banks. And here, Ivan and Peter, I'm ready to pass the word to you. So which trends and challenges do you see? How do you see the situation at the moment? You're welcome, Ivan.
Okay, thank you very much. So let me first start with the introduction of myself and Dateo. So I'm one of the founders of Fintech Dateo, and Dateo is here 7-8 years. We basically have two products. First, we started with this carding marketing platform, which is some personalization of experience with discounts and helping people to save some money. And this product is very much based on understanding data. So that's we started to solve the first. So to be able to understand what clients are doing, how they are spending money, to be relevant to them. and that helped us to create our second product, which is basically why I'm here today. That enriches data. So we learned how to clean the data, and that's turned out the product. So this product is called Tapix, and it basically takes raw payment data, cards, transfers, whatever clients are doing, and returns structured information about merchant name, geolocation, including address, categorization, logos, and these details, and can be processed further. How this service works? I mean, we have this product, I think, since 3 years, where we integrated to various banks and companies. One of them is also Fidu. They will be speaking afterwards. And it's just simple API. So the payment happens. We get information about payment, and in real time we return back to the bank or whoever is calling this API structured information that is stored on premise. So you store it in your database, and then you use it for whatever you need. So I will speak about use cases later on. What is interesting, or what is important to say here, is that the motivation to build this service was to really get into the, let's say, understanding of transactions and into the client heads, let's say. So that's why we took a very detailed approach. We try to maximize coverage, so we understand more than 85% transactions, in meaning we know what's the brand or what's the retailer where we see the transaction, not just category, it's food or drink or whatever. So we know exact retailers. That brings us a better understanding of behavior. Location, we understand more than 80% of payments in terms of where they exactly happened. We have many algorithms. We use people to verify that, to improve algorithms, also some feedback API, etc. That's why I'm saying that, because as I will show later, that's, I believe, crucial thing in starting to use data and starting to getting some value from that. In these 3 years that Tapix exists, we got this service into, I think, 14 clients. So we work with Raiffeisen Bank, Erste Group, Dutch Challenger Bank, Czech, and also now Polish fintech Twisto, and others. And now let me tell you more about what they do with this data, and also what you can do, or what SMEs are using this or can use this data. So first, most obvious use case is user experience or customer experience. So it's basically about showing clients their data, to giving transparency and very basic insights. So you show them logo, you show them correct name, so they do not have to think what is this legal entity name, which actually is the owner of franchise, and you just do not know that. Also, sometimes you don't know about the payment, but if you see it on the map, then you recall that was the small shop somewhere on the corner. And categorization is also important for other use cases. Recently, we saw research from Futurist Group. They made a survey on 1 million people, and they were comparing what was the feature of highest value. And for my surprise, they found this basic enrichment to be of higher value than personal finance, or let's say business finance management tools. And I was thinking quite a lot why that could be the case, and I think the answer is simple. BFMs and PFMs do not deliver the value that they supposed to. I mean, now the data are not clean enough and structured enough in most cases, so the clients do not really get value from that. I mean, it's more advanced tool than just showing you the data, But in practice, if 80% or let's say 50% of transactions are not categorized correctly, then it's not really of much use. Okay. The next step, what we see, it's happening now. What we see, I mean, internet banking or in general, client front ends are moving forward. And in last year's life, 5 to 10 years, everything moved into the applications, right? And now the new features are coming, and I realized that most of the new features are data related. I mean, you can do payments, and you could do, and you did payments 10 years ago. So it's not really innovation that bank can surprise you. Now you can pay. Yeah. It's more about showing you bringing you new information. And that's, for example, on the right side, it's a screenshot of dashboard of our Dutch client bank, and you see the three major use cases or major features on a dashboard is budgeting, spending insights, which is PFM, and also overview of subscriptions. So all are providing something more into the data. Yeah. And that's what we see is coming, and that's I think will be of higher importance also for SMEs, because we understand SMEs are somewhere in between needs of, let's say, ordinary people and corporations. So let me tell you something more about SMEs. So as I mentioned, together, Petr Herzmann from Fidu, they are our clients, so they use our data to enrich payment information for their corporate clients or for their clients. So what we see that has changed or was improved by our data, and Petr, you could add something if you want, or if I miss something. So first of all is this basic transparency. It just feels much better than if you see transaction and you straight away know what's this transaction about and where it's coming from. You do not spend time guessing or asking people. And in a business world, it's saving money, because if people work with payments, they need to categorize them or do some processing, some accounting processing. It just saves money. Another thing is you can help with monitoring people or monitoring expenses, where they are coming, either business wise or location wise, if people are really on places where they're supposed to be. And the next thing again is, once you have these basics right, then you can ask, okay, where we spend our money mostly. And in transfers, it's much easier. If you pay some invoice, you know who you are paying to. But so far, without cleaning data, transactions can be a little bit messy.
Maybe here I will add to Ivan what he has said. We are using the topic service, and for example, nowadays we are starting a AI-powered project for accounting categories, and we are basically combining the data from topics with the categories and the data from the customers, and offering to the accountants the accounting category based on the previous experience. So it's one of the examples of the automation based on the enriched data. So later on, I will show some more examples, but it's one of them which we are doing together with Topics and Ivan.
Cool. And that's actually for us, when we started this cooperation, was not really, or at least I haven't seen that coming. But after it was launched, and everyone, or that's information I got, some clients started to ask if we could not push it further. Like, if we know where's this coming payment, then it's obvious that it should be accounted somewhere. Okay, that's this use case from the perspective of clients or customer experience, and here also automation. And as Olena said at the beginning, let's have a look on what banks can do or what can do themselves, and also what's the implication for their clients. So if they can do something for SMEs, for example. So from analytical perspective, the highest value we see is in geolocation information. That's something that banks do not have. And also detailed categorization, really to understand not just it's some basic split into 4 or 5 categories like food and petrol, but really understanding much more, like it's specialized food. I don't know, it's a deli shop or it's a discount, and that you can learn something about client, because just plain information, people are buying food, is not really holding any personal information. All of us has to eat. So few of our clients are using Tapix for analytical purposes. First of them is marketing. So based on some segmentation, you can personalize your communication. So you can have more templates and inform clients about the same features, same product, by just different words that fits to their profile much better. Second is CRM related segmentations and understanding of your portfolio. So where you have clients, not just based on their residency, but based on their true movement. Also understanding where you have branches. Do you have branches where your clients are really spending their time, or it's slightly different. Also cross-sell, upsell. I mean, whole Carling marketing, which we do, is about, let's say, cross-selling, or let's say selling or promoting some products. And bank has also various products, insurance, travel insurance. You can offer in the situations where you see the client is about to travel, so buying plane tickets and this stuff. You can connect some spending behavior to some life moments, like buying house or refurbishing house, and also credit risk. So there's more data are bringing better understanding of clients. Just flavor of few outputs. You can see distribution of payments. They can help you with, as I mentioned, branch optimization, or just understanding what kind of clients you have, or ATM. Yeah, you can understand where the ATMs are, where they can be. And last, maybe most from my perspective, interesting, and hopefully in the future also life thing, is you can push this type of insights one level further, so you can help your clients to understand their clients. So this type of analysis is something we can do, and we do in our Carling marketing platform. So if we cooperate with some retailer, we can show him what's his market share in surrounding, where his clients are spending money, what's the competition around, etc. So that's something that one day banks can bring to their clients, and also bring high added value coming from data and from shopping data. Okay, so that's my view on where data are and where data could be and hopefully should be. And I'm looking forward to questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ivan. So let's now give a word to Peter, and then we will ask and answer questions. And I encourage all the attendees, please prepare your questions, and you can already type it into the chat. Thank you.
So hello everybody once again. Today I will be talking a little bit about expense management solution, which is based on card payments as the input, and we are as well consuming the data from Dateo, from topics. Maybe a short introduction about myself and the company. I am one of the co-owners, and we are part of the Direct Group, which is the innovative group, which is changing the world for better. And within our group, we have as well Direct Pojišťovna, which is the Czech non-life insurer, the fastest growing. And we are as well providing the services in IoT and helping to protect the households. This is the Direct Echo. And I am personally responsible for the project FIDU, which is delivering the expense management solution to the SME and corporate customers. Why we are doing this project and why we are having FIDU? Because our mission is to have to help the companies to get rid of the paperwork they have, because we think that the corporate finance is inefficient, full of stereotypes, bad habits, and what is critical that the information is missing. The companies are really missing critical information for the management of their expenses and finance. At the same time, there is a lot of paperwork which is expensive, and I think it's time to change that. That's why we are here. When we are talking to our clients, we see quite similar problems in each and every company which we are helping. Employees, they are withdrawing the cash from the counter. They don't have the overview of their expenses and the finance. They are quite often struggling with filling the data to travel expenses and logbooks and stuff like that. They are spending a lot of time with all of these things, and accountants are missing the paper receipts. And all in all, it looks like that they are managing the agenda like in the previous century. This is supported as well by the figures that it's quite surprising even to me that still 45% of the business expenses are being paid in cash, and 40% of the business expense are still being paid by the personal credit or debit cards. This results in the fact that the companies are spending a huge amount of time handling the receipts and all these employee expense stuff, and it takes on average 76 minutes per employee to handle each and every month. So it's quite a lot of time, and this results to quite a lot of costs. And when we were talking with Ivan and Olena and preparing this workshop, it resulted to me that basically it's all about efficient collection and handling of the information. Payments, costs, expenses, receipts, travel orders, approvals, all of that you have to combine somehow together to better manage the expense and finance within your company. So basically, that was like the diagnosis, what is happening within the companies, and we have remedy. That's why we have a FIDU here. And as I mentioned already, our mission is to get rid of the paperwork from the companies, and we hope we can help the companies to get rid of almost any paperwork within the company. Nowadays, the whole FIDU is around, it's an ecosystem around mobile and web application, and we are providing to our clients the card payments. We are using MasterCard prepaid cards. Based on that, we are basically shooting the photo receipts, so doing the digitalization of the receipts. Then you can send it for the approval. You can combine it with your travel expense reports. And we have as well a very nice feature which is called Cash Wallet, because even if you are trying your best to pay as much as you can with your payment card, from time to time you have to use your cash. And this is usually quite difficult for companies to handle this without our application, just with the traditional bank card. And in the end of the day, we combine all of this information and we put it to the expense reports, which are visible both to the accountants and the CFOs, as well as to the employees within the company. So basically, this is our product. Maybe the best way how to show how it works is to show you two use cases, how we are doing this. And the first one is the case study about still Czech Republic, which is the company producing forklifts and selling forklifts, not only in the Czech Republic, but it's a global company. And Kateřina is the CEO of this company in the Czech Republic. And Kateřina, she needs to have a control over the expenses at cash flow. Quite typical use case, which we see at our clients. But Kateřina is happy because he's doing the business within the warehousing business, and they have forklifts, and they are lucky that for all of the documents they have enough storage space within their warehouse. So perfect. So probably there is no need to change that. But at the same time, Kateřina is struggling with the cash flow management, and you cannot handle this with your forklifts and warehouses. So Kateřina started looking for a solution, and she was lucky. She was really lucky because she met us, Firu, with cards and great app, and now supported by nice logos and categories from Ivan from Topics. So the UX and the UX experience is great for her. Basically, what we are doing, we are enriching the data. We are firstly creating the expense from the card payments, and then we are adding the enriched data from topics. And so we are able to show to each and every employee logo, category, full merchant name, GPS location, so they can even on the map see where they did the purchase. So it's great for the employees, and then later on for the controlling purposes, because all of these things are quite important for the company to have a control. For example, the GPS locations, they are combining with the GPS data from their cars, so they are controlling the people whether they were really at that place with their car. So one of the cases how to use the GPS from the payments is to compare it with the data from your GPS system in your cars. And as I already mentioned, we are starting the project on accounting categories, which are based on the categories which are getting from topics. So Kateřina got perfect control of the expenses and finance in her company. So she was lucky, and now she has a perfect control over her finance. So that was the first case study I wanted to talk about. The other one is about one of our clients, common clients with Komerční banka, KB. We start a strategic cooperation with Komerční banka. It's a nice example that we can live together with a traditional bank on the Czech market. On one side, we are selling the solution directly to SMEs and corporates. On the other hand, we are cooperating with Komerční banka and helping to their clients with the digitalization of their finance, because Komerční banka was in a situation that they were asked by the clients to help them with this extra layer over the payment data. So another example is with Tatra Trucks. Petr Hendricks is a CFO of Tatra Trucks. And Petr decided to stay with his KB card. We said, okay, if he wants to have his KB card, why not? And we agreed with KB, Komerční banka here in the Czech Republic, that we will integrate our services, and he can pay with his card, and he can seamlessly do the all expense management stuff within our application. So basically, he's paying with his KB card. He gets to our application in real time, push notification. He's shooting a photo of his receipt and sending for the approval. That's all. That's the whole expense management stuff for Petr. And in the end of the month, he sees his personal settlement. He sees that how much should be paid to him or how much should he pay to the company. He has there all the personal expenses, travel compensations, cash settlement, all these things on one pager, which is visible both to him and to the accountant. And his accountant now is not angry anymore because she gets all the paper, and Petr is fine with his expense management in the end of the month. Basically, no duties in the end of the month. So this was one of the examples how you can combine traditional bank solution, traditional card payment, with the fintech solution related to the expense management. And we are extremely happy that we can have this project together with Komerční banka because it's nice to see how the clients are changing their finance. So that's how we work and how we are using the data. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. So I think Katarzyna and Peter, they're not only lucky, but also smart to use your solutions enriched with Ivan's data. So, okay, so let's discuss. I see that we have some question here from Gordana. If I may ask first, so your application, Peter Fidu, is like a separate application. So it is not integrated or embedded to online or mobile banking applications in case, for example, Komerční banka that you showed. So this is a separate application for SME customer. And Ivan, then to you, your solution is integrated, right? Or it can be both. Please tell us more on this.
Well, our application is not integrated with Komerční banka from the UX perspective, but in the back end, we are getting the data from them about the card payments, because usually the typical internet banking solution for SMEs and corporates, you get the internet banking and mobile banking just for a couple of people within the company. It's not designed for each and everyone within the company. So they are not ready for that. They cannot manage different roles, different use cases. So we kept our application and we are just consuming the data and combining them as well with the data from Ivan.
I see.
I add my part. So we also do not integrate in a proper sense. We have just API. So whenever the payment is there in data warehouse or in a settlement process, when it fits to the client, they take the information and send it to us. We return it via API, and then they store it. So it's also not really needing any integration into the systems. It's just about keeping data and then pushing into the company where they are needed. Yeah. So some banks, for example, integrate us, or some clients integrate us in real time. So you pay, and within a second you get push notification about payment, and all information are there already. Sometimes they call us during the night in a batches. So when they process all the payments from the last day, so it really depends.
We are doing that in real time.
Yeah.
So once you get the push notification, you already have all the data from topics.
I see. Gordana, did we answer your questions? Because we had a question from Gordana to give some more detail about how topics need to be included in payments processing and for supporting customers' analytics.
I think I kind of answered it, but in case of analytics, we typically integrate from data warehouse. So analytics are working in database, data lakes, or this kind of animals, and then they typically do not work with real-time data, so they call us during the night. We also are partnering with companies, with integrators that are often putting this infrastructure together, like Kebola or Backbase, and they can make it happen. Then it just suddenly appears there. Yeah.
Okay, so while we're waiting for another questions, I would like to recall you once to your words during your presentations that you mentioned that the quality of data is not good enough at the moment. That's why BFM and PFM models are not working so good as they should, helping customer, to see the prediction of the cost and income and etc. How do you see? I mean, what is the main problem here with this categorization, and what are the main challenges here, and how do you see this can be solved?
Maybe the biggest problem and challenge is attention to detail. We see that quite often banks are doing it themselves, or maybe they have a vendor that provides them PFM in sense of infrastructure, like they provide graphs, integration, etc. But cleaning data is typically left with the bank, and that's the key problem, because that needs a lot of expertise, a lot of attention. Whole system, how we do that, is evolving still. I mean, we still see a lot of troubles there, a lot of exceptions, and also banks are used to work in a project way. So you have project, let's say, rolling out BFM, you roll it and that's it. But the problem is the data, especially card data, are alive because they are still changing. You change acquirer, or you just replace terminals. New businesses are opened. So I think, according to our statistics, about 2% of data we know are dying every month. So let's say in every 3 to 4 years, we have to redo everything we built before. And that's not what banks are ready to do, to let's say build dedicated team just for cleaning data. Of course, the scale is a problem nowadays. On our core markets, we have higher scale than any bank, so we are able to put more, let's say, attention and more focus on more people on cleaning that data, and which even for the largest bank is not viable.
We have a question from Alexis regarding the BFM. How relevant are BFM solutions for SMEs if banks agree to only share 90 days of worth of transaction data via PSD2 interface?
I'm not sure who should answer this question, but from my perspective, you renew or you can renew your approval, as far as I understand. So you are building up your data. So if I understand Alexis' question, if you let's say launch cooperation, then you can get just data for 90 days in the past, which I think is not always the case. Sometimes they provide more. But if the connection is alive, then you are piling up the data, and then you are building a history. So I think it's not a problem.
Maybe let me comment on that, because typically for SME and corporate clients, they are not storing the information within their banking system or internet banking. They are downloading the things and importing them to their accounting or ERP systems. And once they get the information, they can then later on play with that and do the analysis. So we are as well in a role up to a certain level in a role of a bank, because we are keeping the transactional data and all the additional information, and we are keeping that for 10 years for each and every client. And whenever they want, they can export or via Excel exports or APIs to their own systems. So basically, once you have the data, then you can keep them and do the analysis later on. So it's not such a big issue for SMEs and corporates. Maybe for retail banking, this might be an issue because typically you are not exporting anything from your internet banking, but for SMEs, it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Here we have a question from Dia. How does Tepic's solution work in different countries with different languages, and, for example, with Arabic, if it is possible?
I think in few weeks we are launching our first client on the Middle East. in United Emirates, so that's probably the answer. It doesn't matter. Card payments are regulated according some ISO standard that Visa, Mastercard, and everyone has to follow. So from this perspective, data have the same structure. We just need to build understanding of the market, of course. Yeah. So there are some specifics on different markets, but that's what we already did in last year, since we have clients across the Europe. So it's not a problem.
Okay. My question to you is the following. Actually, I would like to hear your thoughts on the usage of payment data by the banks to cross-sell, for example, to cross-sell or to do a customized offer to the customers. Because, for example, I see like this is not much examples here, for example, at least in our CE region. And I had some offers from the banks here in Poland, but it was like in pre-pandemic times when, for example, I was paying by my business card for tickets to a plane, for example, or booking hotel. And then I received an immediate offer to buy an insurance, for example, to go abroad. So now I don't receive any offers connected with transactions on my business card. So can you comment what are the challenges here, and what is I mean, how do you see the development of the situation here in the nearest maybe a year or two? What is the problem here?
The biggest challenge is to buy the plane ticket. Why to buy that nowadays?
Yes, exactly.
I think what I see the biggest challenge is that banks want to be digital, want to work with data, want to be data leaders. But the problem is this, let's say, environment is closed or used to be closed. There are just banks that had access to data. So that's what we see. For example, if we introduce Tapix, we say, okay, now you will have geolocation information about client payments. Data scientists say, yeah, that's cool. But then when it comes, when you go a step further, so what are the business cases behind this data? So they don't have it because they never had this data. They don't know what to do yet. So my view is that banks are just learning how to utilize this data. For example, I saw that bank was much more mature with working with digital data coming from outside, Google Analytics, etc. But they were not that far with their own payment data, which is surprising, because I mean that's no company to tell you what to do, or it's not a common practice. Also, banks are not sharing this. So if you have good data scientist team, it's great, but not all banks have it. And actually, I see the reverse movement, where we see that Google, for example, is moving towards understanding payment data, because they have their ad system. So they basically, Google is advertising company when it comes to revenues. So they want to understand what happens after they show you your or their ad, and still holds that majority of payments. Before crisis, it was, I think, 90% of payments. Now I think it's much less. Was in brick and mortar stores. So still e-commerce is very small. Most of the money we spend physically, and that's where the models are not mature yet for Google. So that's I see the challenge. To work with data, try hard, and it needs some time. But I see definitely that banks are willing to go this direction.
Maybe there is one more challenge, that banks are missing the third level data. Basically, they know where you paid, but they don't know what you buy. So what did you buy? So basically, they know that you spent in the supermarket 1,000 Czech crowns, but they don't know whether you bought beer, food, some non-food. So it's a big challenge for them, and there are already some fintechs trying to digitalize automatically all the receipts and making these analytics based on this data, on the third level data. Once the banks will have this level of data, it will be much easier to do the analysis and the comparison and to bring the offers. So it's another challenge for the banks.
Yeah, that's I see it's lying somewhere in the future. We also work in this environment with retailers. The third level data are very interesting. Much more on a product level for recommending product level. But as I mentioned already in presentation, the first thing is to understand I'm buying my food in Lidl or some specialized store where the Italian cheese, Italian wine, and and this is already saying a lot. And already this level is not present in the models and everywhere. And what you mentioned, these items, that's a huge challenge because just to understand what these items are is a big thing. If you have a chain of groceries, they have, let's say, 10,000 of items every day, and they have to maintain the database. So if you are not expert in this part of retail, to combine it with, let's say, some online book selling 100,000 items and put it together, it's a big challenge. But definitely interesting.
Yeah, I hope like it can be sold in several next year. So what is your prediction?
My prediction is that what we see now will just be more mature. So the tools will be more useful. I still don't think that most of the let's say data driven products for clients are not working well enough, and also the banks, I think, will understand how to work with data. So I don't think in short term will happen big revolution.
Okay.
But I think it will be faster also because of fintechs. I mean, PSD2 is opening data to different companies, and now banks can see what these fintechs are doing with data, because basically their services will be mainly data driven, I would say.
Yeah.
But it's still a long way to go.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a question to Peter. So the present about case with Komerční banka. So it was based on integration of KB card to FIDO application. What about cards of other banks? Is it assumed or feasible to have it for the customer?
So basically, the integration with Komerční is our first integration directly with the bank.
We have some problems with your sound.
Is it okay? No. No. Is it better?
It's kind of echo.
Echo. I didn't change anything.
Yes, now it's good.
That's good. Okay, something on the way. So our integration with Komerční banka is the first one directly with the bank, but at the same time, what we are doing with our clients, that we are using their data which they are getting from the banks, and we convert them to the expenses. So from whatever bank, we can take the data and do the same thing as we are doing with Komerční banka, but we are not cooperating directly with the bank. And we are doing the project as well with the fuel cards, which is exactly the same case. We are able to consume the data from fuel cards and interpret them in our application.
Okay, and to close the webinar, my final question will be: what does it take from the bank to cooperate with you? So which resources, which is I think the main challenge now for the banks, is needed to cooperate with you, Ivan, and with you, Peter? So time, what team of people is needed, etc.
Shall I start? Okay, so From our perspective, integration itself is not that heavy. So what we see, whereas the major investment or major effort is building use cases. So in first part, what I shown, many banks are starting with improving customer experience. Then you have to improve your app. So that's where the most time and effort is spent. Putting data into data warehouse is typically not an issue, and also with analytical teams to have a idea or plan what this data are used for. So that's typically what takes time, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
Some
from
effort.
your experience with the cooperation with the banks, what is the average team is needed time-wise? What is it?
Okay, that's a good question, but always the answer is difficult, because what's the starting point of let's say project? Because typically it takes everyone to decide like 6 months up to 2 years to go from the moment we like it into the moment, okay, let's do it. But integration itself and everything takes a few months, 2-3 months. That's the fintechs. I think, Peter, they also did it in something like 2 months, I would say. And again, I mean, if some analysis is done, then you have to wait for next iteration in IT. So there's some gap. But once it's planned, it's really quite short. Typically, a team of 1 or 2 people are working on that. I mean, data-wise, if it comes to integration of this service, it's very small.
Okay, Peter, what about you?
Well, I think for us the biggest challenge is to understand each other, because when we approach KB for the first time, it was quite difficult to explain to each other that we are not competitors, that we can work together, because we are delivering cars, KB is delivering the cards. How it works together? Are we somehow cannibalizing their portfolio or not? Are we adding additional value or substituting their services? So it took some time to talk about that and convince some people within the bank that we can work together, and then that our cards might serve to different use cases than the typical debit or credit cards, because with the prepaid cards you can do different use cases. So that was probably the biggest challenge. It took us 8-9 months to start the cooperation. It was during the COVID time, so we did all the meetings online. So it was quite difficult to move forward, but we made it in like 8-9 months, and we started as of January this year. And I'm really looking forward to this cooperation. So, but it's always about the discussions at the beginning.
Yeah. Okay, we will close our webinar already. Thank you, our attendees, for your attention. Thank you, Ivan and Peter, for your contribution. Good luck with new projects. And thank you very much, and see you next time online. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.